Hello, and welcome back to People and Platforms, the podcast where we get honest about leadership, organizational culture, and the messy realities of work. I'm Carlo-Marcel Dube, your host, and today we are talking about staff surveys, more specifically, the promise of anonymity, the fear that follows, and how managers often mishandle the most critical moment of all, that is the team debrief. Now, surveys are meant to be empowering. They tell employees that your voice matters. You can speak freely and openly without fear, and leadership will listen. But here's the hard truth. For many staff, that promise of anonymity and confidentiality feels like a half truth because after the survey, results come out. It's not always empowerment they feel, more often it's exposure. Let's set the stage. Staff surveys are designed to gather honest feedback. The theory is simple. People will speak more freely if they believe their identity is protected. But in practice, employees start to suspect that the survey is not truly anonymous when the team level results are broken down. When only, say, 10 people are surveyed in a department, or worse, when only 4 respond, and then patterns emerge. Suddenly, everyone is whispering, "Hmm, that's what she wrote. Definitely, it's her. That's definitely maybe his comment." And the whole exercise, instead of building trust, it starts to erode it. Research has shown this dynamic clearly as well. Studies on employee voice have consistently revealed that fear of reprisal is the biggest inhibitor of honest feedback. Even when surveys guarantee anonymity, employees question who controls the data, who reads the verbatim comments, and whether confidential really means confidential. In one Deloitte study on engagement surveys, over 40% of employees admitted that they held back their true views because they feared negative consequences. And here is where the problem gets worse: the team debrief. This is the moment where the results are shared back, right? And often this is facilitated by the manager. And instead of being treated as a mirror for reflection, too many managers take it as a personal attack. We have seen it happen. Survey says staff don't feel valued. The manager walks into the debrief, arms folded, voice defensive.
Well, I don't know who said this, but clearly some people don't appreciate the efforts that I make for this team.
Immediately, the room stiffens, right? You can imagine that. Silence follows, and whatever hope there was for open dialogue is gone. The tragedy here is that the survey becomes less about learning and more about blame. Employees walk away thinking, never again. It's not safe to be honest. And the next time the survey rolls around, scores are artificially inflated, comments are watered down, and leadership thinks the culture is improving, but no. Underneath, the resentment is festering, it's growing. Why does this happen? Because managers don't get the purpose of the survey. They see the results as a judgment of their performance rather than a reflection of the team culture. They personalize the feedback, and when managers take feedback personally, they make it unsafe for everyone else. Let me give you an example. In one organization, a survey highlighted that staff didn't feel recognized for their contributions. In the debrief, the manager said, well, maybe if people worked harder, there would be more to recognize. Imagine the damage these words did. Instead of acknowledging the signal, the manager invalidated it. Staff didn't just lose faith in the survey, they lost faith in the very idea that their voices mattered. How do we shift this dynamic? How do managers handle survey results without perpetuating fear? First, we need to treat the survey as a mirror, not a verdict. A mirror doesn't judge you, it simply reflects what's there. Some reflections are flattering, right? Others less so. But all are valuable because they reveal reality. A manager's role is to look into that mirror with curiosity, not defensiveness. It's data. You have to separate the feedback from your identity. It's not about you as a person, it's about the environment you and your organization have created together. If staff say trust is low, it doesn't mean you're a bad manager, right? It means trust is an issue in the system. Frame it as a collective work, not personal blame, because honestly, you can't fix the culture as a manager on your own. Not possible. So you have to facilitate, not to interrogate in the debrief sessions. You can ask team members to justify or to explain, why are we this low? Who thinks this? Why do you think this? Rather, how we are supposed to frame this is what the data is telling us. What can we do together to improve? That shifts the energy from accusation to collaboration as a team. We have to acknowledge the courage it takes for the team to respond with honesty. Even if the survey is anonymous, employees take a risk when they speak up. Managers should honor that risk by responding with gratitude, not defensiveness. A simple thank you for being honest. I know it's not easy. It can completely change the tone. Finally, I think we need to commit to visible action. Nothing destroys trust like a survey followed by silence. Managers should identify a few concrete actions and follow through. Staff do not expect perfection. Trust me, they expect progress, and progress is built on consistent follow ups, not grand promises that you can fulfill. Here's the bigger lesson: staff surveys are not really about numbers, they're about trust. If employees believe their voice is heard and acted upon, surveys become powerful tools for engagement. But if surveys are mishandled, if anonymity is broken, if debriefs turn into blame sessions, they become symbols of fear. And here's the irony, right? Leaders often launch surveys to build engagement, but without careful handling, the survey itself becomes a driver of disengagement. My message to managers is this: when you receive survey results, resist the urge to defend yourself. Please don't make it about who said what. Don't make it about your pride. Make it about listening, about learning, about leading. Because your response to those results will determine whether staff ever feel safe to be honest again. Remember, a staff survey is not a referendum on your leadership. It's not. It's a mirror of culture. Look into that mirror, don't argue with it, learn from it. And then ask yourself the only question that matters: how can I, as a leader, create a workplace where honesty isn't feared, but it's welcomed? What part of the feedback could be true, even if you don't believe it? So let me leave you with this. When the next staff survey comes out in your organization, how will you handle the results? Will you perpetuate fear, or will you build trust? That's for you to brood over. I'm Carlo-Marcel Dube, and this has been People and Platforms. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, remember, surveys don't build trust, but leaders do. Cheers.